Yo, aloha. Special treat tonight. I'm going to do this while eating my dinner. Beans and Franks. Staple. We used to have that every Saturday night growing up. And I remember my folks, I don't know if it was my mom or dad. I'm leaning more towards my dad, perhaps. Used to slice the hot dog, so it'd just make a V. And that's where you put like the mustard and ketchup. But I always remember one time, sliced open my hot dog and there was like a note in there. Like literally piece of paper with writing on it, not like a receipt or just a random. It was like somebody wrote it, put it in the hot dog. Never forget that. That reminds me one time we used to go to Rocky Point up in Rhode Island. Me and my dad were on the Ferris wheel. And some liquid dropped on us. And I didn't know what it was. I guess I think my dad implied it was puke, but I don't know why it couldn't have been Coke. I don't know. But I was just such a little kid, just everything my dad would. But I remember him yelling down to the guy, "Hey, Mac!" Like to get it, to stop the thing. And I'm like, how'd you know his name? I remember saying that. I don't think his name was Mac. It was just like, he's yelling to the guy. Rocky Point was pretty cool. I remember the flume. They had a flume, but it went through kind of by the trees. And it was just so different, like things were just so much rougher back then. But they had this hand sticking up in like the quicksand. But the flume was at like 20 feet up in the air. I don't remember all the details, but I remember that one part. They had a cool haunted house too. Just the old school. You go busting through the doors. And there'd be multiple doors. There was 2 floors. Just rough, but it was perfect for my age at that point. And then when we leave, we get the big crab cakes or the big balls of clam cakes or something. I don't know. Good memories. And then I never went there and saw like Max Creek and stuff when I was a teenager. I missed out on that. I could have. I just didn't understand. Like, nah, I don't want to do that. Hang out with my lame girlfriend. And you were lame. I regret that. Dated the same girl for like 3 years in high school, for almost 4 years, basically the whole time. She was like homecoming queen. But she was lame. But after a while, you feel like you've invested so much time, you want to reach the Holy Grail. And I never did get there with her, and she never intended to let me get there. And I just, it was horrible. I was made a fool of. But I let it happen. I had several other cute girls that wanted me. And I was blind, but I could not see. Julie, if you're out there, I wish I'd gone there. You know who you are. So Monday night, great new shirt, huh? Lee Scratch Perry. I'm like, I don't have a Lee Scratch Perry shirt. I even saw him live like a month before he died. It was great. His roadie comes out with like a bunch of bananas, like 4 bananas, like stuck, the little thing, but with incense stuck in them. Puts that down on the stage. Shit like that. You're like, that's the shit you want, man. The hell's that all about? That's what's so great about it. Refried beans. You know, this is, I usually split the can in half. So these, I put them in a pan, a skillet, a griddle, black iron, whatever you call it, cast iron. Put them on the grill. And of course, even the low setting on my Coleman piece of shit grill is too high. So I was monitoring them, and they were going well. And then I came in here and did something that took just too long. I go back, and they're all stuck to the pan. But it's kind of good. You get that nice sort of, if you can rescue them before they get too stuck. So I've been watching Resort TV 1. Josh and Jenna, but mainly Josh. They do the best stream of Disney. He's kind of a goofball. I tend to try and have music on. I don't really want to listen to them because they never say anything bad about Disney. You know, like the prices or the poor quality of the merchandise or the food. There are things to complain about, and you can still enjoy it and like it. That's me. I like going there. But there's shit that drives me up the wall, and that, or it's just a shame to see happening. They'll never say anything bad. Sometimes I'll throw something in the chat just to... You can almost hear them and ignore it. Like they might reference it in some oblique way, like, "Oh, we're not going to have any of that" or something. You know? And that's just fun. That's fun. If you don't understand why that isn't fun, you could be the problem. You know, I enjoy what these people do. I watch them quite often. But they still drive me up the wall, and that's okay. It can be that, you know? You don't have to like everything about it. You know, these people who don't want to hear criticism or negativity, fuck you. Grow up. It's called life. You're not supposed to be happy all the time, or, you know, that's called the village idiot. You walk around smiling all the time. I love the absurdity of life and like the curveballs and shit. For instance, here's a good curveball. Not a ton to talk about, but it's funny because Saturday I was thinking about making, you know, one of these videos. I'm like, I haven't really had anything happen. You know, nothing, just an incident or something to talk about. Actually, I have. I think the last one of these I did, it was the 14th. Then on the 17th, I went and played the Moose Lodge, my highest paying gig. And I get in there, and I played about an hour. And it's funny because I go in and I'm set up, and in front of me they have like dinners there and shit. There was like a spaghetti dinner. There was a bunch of people in front of me on like picnic bench sort of things, and there's a bar slightly to the left. And by the time I got all the way into it, all the people in front of me had left, and they were all on the far side of the bar. I'll be putting the video up. You'll see the video. And the bartender comes up to me, and she's like, "Yeah, we're sorry. We're gonna call it an early night tonight. You know, there's a rodeo in town, and there wasn't much happening there. I don't know if I scared them out or if it was just a slow night. I do what I do. It's the same thing. So it didn't bother me because I'm doing I was a little uptight, you know, as my usual Charlotte's Web gig where I'm mostly by myself, but it's more in my element outside. This was a little, you know, like when I first walked in, an old couple, you know, probably 75 plus comes by. He's like, "What are you going to be playing? You going to be playing that hippie shit?" And I'm like, "Yeah, more or less, you know." He's like, "I don't want to hear that shit." I'm like, "All right, have a good night." I think that was the night I debuted Don't Look Back by Peter Tosh, which he did not write. That's an old reggae tune. There was people doing that in the 60s. And By the end, the last song I did was Margaritaville, off the cuff. I was not intending that to be my last song. See, I'm reading the lyrics, and I can usually put up like 2 songs at a time. So if I can throw in one that I know the lyrics to, or most of the lyrics to make it 3 songs, I do that. No, that's like Deal by the Dead, Margaritaville. I got a handful. Even like Sympathy for the Devil, I can throw that out without looking at lyrics mostly. Satisfaction. But like yesterday, I went up to, so that was that, and I left. And what sucked is my car's been having trouble. 402,000 miles is the first time. There's just something that keeps stalling, but it runs great still when it runs, which is most of the time. But the worst time I've had with it stalling, like I'll just be driving and it stalls. And then it starts right up, turns right over, boom. Sometimes it takes like 4 or 5 times, but that night was the worst. Like leaving the parking lot after getting sent home early, it was stalling right at the exit. Then thankfully, there's a main road through town, 70. But there's like, it kind of splits out, so it's one way, and there's like a neighborhood in the middle, so I was able to take that road, and I kept stalling, but then it goes through like the old downtown right in the middle, just shops on each side, but they still gave me, it was it was going to be $250. They gave me $150 for 45 minutes of playing. I wasn't deterred. I'm not deterred. That didn't bother me. It kind of, you're not sure if they were straight up because it was dead in there, but maybe I made it dead. I don't know. They haven't called back. Let's put it that way. I don't think they have my number, but I haven't gone back either. Nor does the American Legion. You can check those videos out. The one Saturday I played, and I'm good I'm good with that. But then I went, so there was that to talk about. I don't think I did talk about that. I made a good video. I actually made a video leaving here, my RV, talked about where I was going and pulling up to the thing and right after, and added it all onto the music, just to give a little context. But, so Saturday they had a band up at Charlotte's Web. And funnily enough, where I'm working, the girl who works the bartending on Saturdays and Friday nights and Saturday nights, Leah, she's actually on one of these drill crews that we're working with. She comes in with this guy. I'm in charge of doling out materials to the subs and our guys. I run the yard, and I'm there, and she comes up. One of the regular guys I had known, and she was there, and I saw, she has like the hook in the ring in the nose, and short hair, tattoos. She always wears a baseball cap backwards when she's bartending, but she was in a hard hat. She said, "You play music at Charlotte's Web?" And I'm like, "Oh, Leah." So it was just weird. But she told me they were having a party Friday night, and Saturday they were having a band. So I wanted to go to my storage place in Fort Meade, which is 20 miles north of Charlotte's Web, so about 40 miles from here. So I went there, and the band was 3 to 7, and I got there about 5:30, towards 6. And they were playing Stormy Monday when I showed up. It's a good sign. I love that tune. And they were pretty good. Bunch of old-timers. The guitarist was pretty funny. This guy named Manny. I had my new Hendrix shirt on, and he right away he saw that, and he started playing like little between songs, riffing on Little Wing and Hey Joe. And he eventually did play Hey Joe. And I sat around and talked with him for like the whole band for a while. And it turns out the keyboardist was a big deadhead, had a big steal your face. And we just got into it talking about Deadco and just the Dead and stuff. And Then he gave me half a bone, which I did not expect at all. That was awesome. So the keyboardist gave me, not one of those assholes at Charlotte's Web, which they're all good people, but they never get me high, and they're always getting high. Bastards. But that was awesome because I wasn't expecting that. Let me tell you, it was awesome. I haven't been high in a while. Since Tedeschi Trucks. And I'll tell you what, that weed at the Tedeschi Trucks, I was fucking fried. That was like cold. I was just sitting on the steps at the way back on the lawn. It's like the back of City Hall or something, big granite steps. It's very nice. And it's not that far away. It's a great venue. And but I was sitting next to this old couple, probably a little older than me, but boy, was I stoned. That was like holding on for a few minutes, just like, you think everything you're doing is really stupid stuff. Like you gotta it was just one of those good highs. I just was like fucking fried. So that was good. And then Sunday, which was yesterday, I went up and played myself. 2 good sets. 2.5 hours of music. Had a table full of people, and it'll be on the tape. They were actually complimentary. They didn't leave me nothing, though. And they didn't get me high, either. They were smoking one, and she's like, come over here. I'm like, I can't leave the stage. I'm between sets. Then she didn't hook me up. Nor did they leave a bone or even $1 in my fucking tip jar. And they were liking it. You got to give the guy $5, for Christ's sakes. That's what I gave that band Saturday. That's about all I had. I gave them $5. They got $1 each. But it's the what do you call it? The thought. But good set yesterday. I opened up with Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey. I think I kind of got that down. Judge for yourself. It'll probably be a week or two before I get that set up there. Right now, I'm uploading my triumphant return to the inside of Charlotte's Web, which occurred on October 11th. So that tells you. So I get 2 sets from that day. Then I think I went up there that Sunday and played 1 set. I got to upload that. Then I got the next week, the Friday. I just played the Moose, so I got to put that up there. And then I think I played at Charlotte's Web at least once the next weekend, one day. So 2 sets there, maybe only 1. I think I got a late start. And then 2 sets yesterday. But they were good. I felt good about yesterday's sets. I just played well within myself, I think. Just, slowed everything down. Might not have actually slowed it down, but it just felt slower. But I'll tell you, I go through that and I play all these tunes and I just am amazed about the tunes I don't play. Like, I don't think I played 2 sets yesterday, 2.5 hours. I didn't play 1 Bob Dylan song. I'm trying to think if I did. I don't think I did. That's pretty amazing for me. Wasn't intentional. Just kind of went that way. I meant to do my Desolation Row homegrown, but I just kind of forgot. But I broke it. I what was I doing? I was doing something in G. And I was going right into a Bertha, like just kind of, and I hadn't planned it. That's one of those ones I can sing without the words. And I'm like, I need something in G. Because the song I was doing, I didn't have a good ending. But anyway, so I did that. And I broke my high E string. Which was the nice thing about that is I actually had like a random one, a high E string, so I didn't have to break out a. I thought at first it was a G string because I've been breaking the D and the G the most, which are the two middle strings. And I'm like, God, I had a brand new set of strings, and I was like, I had to take the G out. So I've got a bunch of sets of strings with just the D and the G missing. But then I realized it was the E, and I had like the string I put on there is probably like 30 years old. No lie. So it was nice to use that. I don't give a shit about stuff like that. I'm not recording in a studio, but I don't worry about, and if you listen, you may be like, we know, but like, I don't get hung up on, I tune up at the beginning, and that's probably, unless I put a new string on, I rarely check the tunings. And even if I do, sometimes I forget to keep track of that, but sometimes you can hear like the B string will go at it, like I was having trouble with my Acoustasonic. But I was going into the Bertha, and it was sounding good. Like it just kind of naturally, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, and I was just doing the beginning, the dun 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 dun, dun, and the string broke. And then I picked up what did I do? I don't know if I stopped the set then or if I played my Acoustasonic. I think I played the Acoustasonic for a couple tunes. Yeah, I did. I think I played, and it went pretty well, actually. I think I only did two. I think I did the two Tom. They wanted some Tom, but they kept requesting shit I didn't have, They're like, do you know any Arlo Guthrie? And I'm like, I do know one, but it wasn't one they wanted. But I did play that one, coming into Los Angeles. But I did, You Don't Know How It Feels, and it was the best I've ever done that one. I just took my time on that one, and it went well. Nice and laid back, Felt good, who knows. And then I did American Girl, which I got down pretty good. I always fuck it up a little bit, but I got it down for the most part. I don't know if that is the problem because it doesn't bother me, and I like it loose. Like I said, my version of Angie, I'll throw it up with anybody's. It's horrible, but it's fucking great. It's the epitome of ragged but right, and I'm okay with how it goes. I really am. I didn't do Angie. I haven't done that in a while. That one gets lost in the shuffle. That was one of the biggest tunes for me, man, growing up. I remember I had my brother who had the albums, and he used to have the speakers system in the big stereo. I always remember sitting at the bottom of the stairs. We had the 2 stories, and the stairs went down and took just like 3 steps and took down into the foyer. And so you could sit in that corner. Like a few times we had parties, that would be like a big hangout spot right there. It wasn't huge, but I remember sitting there and I remember hearing injured. That's what I thought he was saying. I thought he was saying injured. 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 Where was? But it made an impression. It was a good memory. So I enjoyed that. That was good. And that was been a Stones fan ever since. They're just the epitome of rock and roll to me. Tumbling Dice, there ain't nothing cooler than Tumbling Dice. It just sounds great. Great lyrics. But then, so the second set, I got the acoustic going yesterday again with the high E string. And that went well. And then I did a nice, I went to the Acoustasonic for the encore. There was nobody there. But I heard him calling me. And that went fairly well. It was a little messy, but I did Rock and Roll by Velvet Underground. And then I did Saw Her Standing There. I don't have the words written down. I more or less know that. And I hadn't practiced it really. And I'm just strumming it, I'm not doing. But it was fun. And I think it went well. Like a song like that Satisfaction, I think I can carry them through. They're fun. People know him. And I did Broke Down Palace, those three. I think I screwed up the lyrics on Broke Down. It wouldn't be noticeable unless you know. Like I kept singing, but I was like, I think I repeated part of it. Like I ended up doing on the last verse, like "Mama, Mama" again. I think, or in a bed, fairly well, fairly well. No, I said that line. I don't know. I thought I repeated something though. I'm gonna take a peek at those lyrics to make sure. So it gets a little confusing. You know, the first one is "River gonna take me." That's how the first verse starts, and the second one is I forget. But the last verse is going to plant a weeping willow. But the second verse has the "Mama, Mama, many worlds I've come since I first left home." That was always key when you were tripping at a Dead show. It was the encore. And that was the fun. Like when you were going to a few shows in a row or being on tour, just immersing yourself in it, like everything had meaning. It was great. The Jerry's shirt choice, you know, it was always Jerry's in red, trouble ahead. You know, that was always a saying because mostly you wear a black T-shirt and occasionally you'd have just a blank red one on or maroonish, you know. And everything had meaning, you know, and like "Mama, Mama, many were," you know, 3 hours of tripping your balls off at a Dead show. You'd be like, yeah, I've been to some worlds here, man. God, I remember being at the old garden with my buddy Jerry and Shannon. We all were tripping. It was like probably his only time tripping on acid, maybe. But we were like sitting on the floor of the garden, like, you know, up where the seats were. I think it was over one of the, like where you walk out and there's seats over it, you know, in the seat section. And, you know, you walk out and just like all into it, you know, but like sitting on that floor to the thought of that. I remember driving home. We were all still tripping. And my friend Jerry was driving. And he's like, "See, you got to take over." More experienced. And then, you know what? I think that may be the day I went to fucking work the next morning still tripping. Had to drive a straight truck, do moving. Those are the things you got to do, though. You know, I look at that. That was when the Dead played their series of 6 shows at the Garden. And you're like, you know what? If I have to do something like that, this ain't happening next week. You know what I mean? You do whatever you got to do to make that happen. And you know. It's like even going to that Tedeschi Trucks a couple weeks ago here. I didn't drink or nothing. I think I had one of my a Budweiser in the parking lot before the show. But that's in Clearwater. So I got home. It was like 1:30 in bed by 2, up at 6. That was a tough day. And that's back when it was more like 90 degrees every day and I was still doing a lot of heavy landscaping at work. That was a tough day, you know, and nothing, no hangover and nothing, just lack of sleep and being old. That was a good show, though. That Bex Bolero, that was... Derek knows what to do, man, you know? Sometimes you just feel like some guitarists don't go for it all the time. For some reason, they feels like they're hanging back. He goes, he hits it. He's an incredible slide player, but even just regular. And he hits those notes, you know, and takes it. Dun, 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 dun. Great. It was great. It was great. Trust me. They did Keep On Growing from Layla. Keep on growing. Day by day. That was good. And they did Moby Dick just like the riff. The drummers did a little short solo, and that's when they went into Beck's Bolero right out of that. That was good. So that was it. And back to work today. It was rough. It's just I don't know. I can't get my bearings with work because the guys are just a little like the one guy, the supervisor or the project manager who's on site. There's no problem really or issue, but he's just a little awkward, and it seems like he's a little uncomfortable and is like when if I go to him and ask him something or try and talk to him, he gets a little weird, like freaked out. So I've just learned that I just have to let him come to me. And then I'll talk, but it's a little rough because I like to be able to kid around at work and say shit and just be able to talk to people. And like a lot of times I make little quick quips or something, or I try, everything that occurs, I probably have some little something observation that I think's funny or something. And I throw a lot of them out there and they just go off into the ether, unacknowledged. I'm trying to think. I had one today, just an example of what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. So Friday, we got these 4 pallets of fucking this tracer wire. So it's solid copper. It's very small. They pull it through pipes, and it's tracer wire. But they're reels, and they're heavy, and the pallets are really heavy. Like these pallets were so heavy that I couldn't move them with the pallet jack. And the guy getting them off the truck destroyed one of the pallets. Like there was 4 pallets and they were wedged in at the front. And one of them, he had to like beat it up to get it out of there because it adjusted and got pinned against the wall. So then I get it off with the forklift and I put it down, because I wanted to just put the 4 down so you can sign the guy's paperwork and he can take off. Then you move him. And I pick up one of these pallets with the forklift and I start backing up. And I just see one of the reels go rolling out. Then just a line of reels. And then the pallet just falls into a pile of fucking reels. At Friday afternoon, you know what I mean? And these are heavy. And kind of, they're big enough that, so you just got to be careful. An old guy like me lifting that shit up. And it just sucked. So then today, we were looking for something with my supervisor in there, and I kind of related that story quickly like that, and I'm just like, it just sucked Friday. Just kind of you're looking for, yeah. Normally somebody would be like, yeah, that must have sucked, or you know how that goes Friday afternoon. Nothing. Just didn't acknowledge or nothing. Like there's no sort of lightheartedness. It's not heavy-handed either. So that's where I'm kind of like off balance a little bit. I'm outside all day, and it's really nice now. It sucked a month ago, but and he's in this, one of those portable offices and shit. And right now, he's just running generator for power. So he leaves me alone out there. I mean, there's times when I'm just standing at my car, looking at not a lot. I don't really like to do that sort of thing, but I can go on my phone and just kind of look at shit and I really don't. I don't really like that. I'm one of those people who always feels like I'm being watched, so I don't do too much. Like I even can break out my guitar and I played I'm working on Band on the Run right now. I played that through one time and put the guitar down, so that was like 5 minutes. So I don't feel I'm abusing it. And I don't take breaks. I mean, that's essentially the break I took, So he leaves me alone, but there's no lightheartedness and no joking around. And it just kind of, it's nice when you can get somebody who's on your wavelength somewhat. So you can just, shit goes shitty sometimes. And it's nice to be able to crack a joke about it, instead of just being all too serious. It's like, for instance, get this too. So the other day, they're drilling these holes and putting putting tubing in and then running fiber optics for the whole town of Arcadia here. So a lot of times water will seep in, so they suck up the water in these, it's part of the whole rig. They got a drill and then the water suction. So they have to dump that back in the yard. So they usually this is kind of a swampy place, so they back. But anyway, the truck got stuck. So I had to pull it out with the forklift. And this was like first thing in the morning, I think it was Friday or something. But the supervisor's out there, and I'm backing up, and I'm in control. I got everything. But behind me, like 50 feet across the road, there's like a road running, a little driveway. There's we got some materials, like not close, and I'm aware of them. But the supervisor's kind of involved in this, and he's like yelling, "Look out watch the things behind you," and it just didn't require yelling like that. It's like I knew they were there, not even close to them, and it's like he goes over the top to prove, like to make clear that he's in charge or something. Like way too excitable. It wasn't a close call. And you can't razz him about it. That's the thing. So that's all. I'm just a little off. Everything's cool. But I'm just a little off balance because there's just no camaraderie, I guess. I mean, he did buy me lunch one day last week. Wawa, which was nice. Totally nice. That's all I need. So going well, I'm just still a little uncomfortable, I just don't know. And I'm trying to not fucking say, trying to manage my comments. Which I find, I just have gallows humor, mixed with Monty Python, And what that means is my humor's negative based, I guess, It's like usually finding something, but I'm like, I consider myself a cynical optimist. Like I will find whatever's shitty about something and try and make jokes about it, but it doesn't deter me. It's not like I turn around and it. So I think, and I'm kind of unusual like that. It doesn't. I have to comment on it, and it doesn't make me stop or not want to do it or whatever. And then the Monty Python aspect is just kind of the absurdity of people, and like deadpanning and stuff, being deadpan while you're kidding, Like, and sometimes people don't get, like, that is an issue I have. Like, I prefer to do that. Sometimes you'll be making a joke, but you're not smiling, and people just don't get it. I have like one friend from growing up that I still talk to a lot, and he's the only guy who kind of gets that, And that's the key. It's like I'm pretty much kidding all the time. But I may not be like, "Hey, I'm kidding." And like my family, they don't I tell them, I'm like, I'm kidding. And then the next day the same, and it's like, Jesus, they just find fault and get offended by everything I do and say. It's pretty shitty. It's like I called my brother today. I was going to make him him and my sister, the two closest above me, the 50% beneficiaries. And my sister, I needed their Social Security numbers, and my sister sent it back, and my brother never returned my call and didn't send it. And he probably thinks I'm like up to something. Like, I'm 56, never been in trouble with the law, never been investigated, never been suspected, nothing. I'm a pretty milquetoast dude, The only thing he can say is I smoke pot in states where it's illegal. And I'll do it again. But he treats me like I fucking had part in the Manson murders. He really does. That's how he makes me feel. Like, he is just. So I left a message this morning because I had to get that paperwork in, and he's just like never. He's pissed at me for several reasons. He's uptight. He's. But I don't know. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Deal with it. You know, it doesn't stop me. You've offended me a lot, and I still will call you, you know? But the problem with him is he's taken offense to probably something I said, maybe even in one of these videos. I really didn't think he would watch any for certain, but I do have a sister who might have and probably told him something. But anyway, I can tell him that I'm offended by something he said or the way he treats me, and he'll just say, "No, I don't do that, or you shouldn't be, or you know what I mean." Like I can't even be offended. Kind of sucks. I don't like these people. I got people walking around outside. I can't see them. It's all dark. I don't like it. It's one thing I don't like about the. This isn't a play. There's a few people that seem all right, but for the most part, these have not been the coolest people here. Could be worse. So, finally found the showers. I didn't think they had any showers. I didn't find the showers till like last week, and they're nice. So that's why I've been going to the pool every day. But now with the time change, I get home, it's already starting to get dark in the pool. I don't know that they actually lock it up, but it's dawn to dusk, and it's been a little chilly. They got a nice hot tub, but then I go in the pool, and you get out, and it's just chilly for those couple minutes where you're sitting there. You know, like even your bathing suits against your leg, you know, you start drying off, and then you move a little bit. You have to bend over to do your feet or whatever. And fucking that wet bathing suit, like the bathing suit's still soft against your legs, and it's cold. You know the feeling. So that's it. So that brings us to here. And right now, I'm just excited to go. I'm going to Disney World. I got 2 days off, Monday and Tuesday, the 17th and 18th of November. Because on the 17th, it's the last day of the International Food and Wine Festival. And the Beach Boys are playing. Free concert. Mike loved Beach Boys. I think Bruce Johnson's in them. Or is it Johnson or Johnston? Who joined in about 65 or 6 or so. When Brian didn't tour anymore. Glenn Campbell originally replaced Brian for a tour or two. And then they got Bruce Johnston as a regular. But that'll be fun enough, you know. I like the Beach Boys. I've seen him once at the Strawberry Festival in Plant City, the Mike Love ones. I don't even know if he actually sings anymore, but it'll be. But anyway, I wanted to be able to drink, so I took Tuesday off and got a hotel. I was able to. I originally was going to buy all that was available. Like this was about 2 weeks ago. I started looking for a hotel, and it was only the cheapest one I could get was like $252 on site because you don't want to have to drive at all. Then I just kept checking, and within a day, I was able to get the All Star Sports. I think and it's $142 with tax, which Disney wise isn't horrible. So this way I can go and drink in Epcot. It's gonna be expensive. Somebody's rocking out. It's kind of weird. You can hear the bass. So I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, Resort TV One. I watched. They get the best stream. They're there tonight. They already got the Halloween, the Christmas decorations up in the Magic Kingdom. So that's what I'll do. I'll go to Epcot all day on Monday. Hopefully, I'll get a good buzz on. And then on Tuesday, I will go to the Magic Kingdom. And then I'll leave and probably get a pizza at Pieology. I'm actually thinking about that, looking at that. I can't believe somebody's rocking out that hard right now. It's like 8 o'clock. So that's it, kiddos. we'll check in probably once more before I go to Disney World, and then right after that, we'll send out some videos from that. So I'm planning on hopefully playing 2 sets this weekend and 2 sets the next weekend up at Charlotte's Web, or 4 sets rather, 2 sets each day. And then, yeah, so hopefully all goes well and the car holds up. So, all right, over and out. Check out The Pooh, which this will be on, and The Freakin' Howley, which is where I put all my music sets. All right, kids. Till next time.